Hello and welcome back to another episode of TM Cycles off steroids. TM Cycles no more, sad times. Greatly appreciate your support and feedback in the previous video. If you missed that, it'll be linked up here. Gives you a bit of an insight and a backstory as to why I've come off TRT with no post-cycle therapy. I know a few people got triggered because I used the word steroids. The reason why I referenced it as that is because I come from a bodybuilding background whereby we used anabolics to blast and cruise with, purely for vanity reasons, I suppose. Trying to look as best as possible on stage and in our off seasons. But I wanted to use this video to highlight and raise a little bit of awareness. I quite like my channel to go down that particular route because my stance on steroids has definitely changed, and I'm not afraid to admit that at all. I think Joe Brightman, IFBB Joe Brightman, who's in a very similar position to me at the moment, will also agree. I think we discussed that we'll be doing a couple of podcasts together to highlight that. And also just to give you an insight into how I'm feeling at the moment, 5.5 weeks off steroids. So we'll start with that. If we were to get my bloods done at this point, they would be at the bottom of the barrel, 0. I think Joe's was 0.7. For reference, the testosterone range is between 8 nanomolar and 28, 29 nanomolar. So we're very much sub 8 at the moment. The reason for that is because we're in a position whereby we've waited 5 weeks for clearance to occur of testosterone enanthate. Test E has a half-life of 7 days. Most drugs take about 4 to 5 half-lives before we see a clearance of that drug. So we're in a position now whereby we've waited 5 weeks. We are hoping that our natural test starts to kick back in without the use of post-cycle therapy. How long that will take, who knows? Very much, again, based on lifestyle factors. Fingers crossed we're in a positive position whereby we can start to see that flicker. I know Joe's FSH started to move, which is a good sign. But overall, in general, mood is fine. Productivity is high. Libido, no issues there at all without being too crude. That may change in the upcoming weeks. But the only area of concern, or the only area that I notice, I'm feeling slightly under-recovered. I'm noticing it takes a little bit more for me to get the motivation to get out of bed and go into the gym. But that's, I think, because we're, in the autumn, winter seasons at the moment. But overall, very positive. And I think what's helped is that I've found myself. I found my feet in this functional world. I feel very content and very happy doing these sessions. And bodybuilding for me seems like a long distant memory, which is insane. I think that is the biggest area for people to understand when they are making that transition. I know the response and the feedback that I got from the previous video from people was that I'm scared to come off. And I think if you are someone that is watching this, that has been on steroids for some time, and you are in fear of losing size or becoming less of a person than you are, which is absurd to even think like that, but I can completely understand. You're in this cycle of almost convincing yourself that it's the right idea to stay on. I've been there. I should have come off a long time ago, but I wasn't in the headspace to do it. I could have come off anabolic steroids at the end of my show in June, but my business model and myself was very much predicated on the way I looked. If we were, to pull it apart a little bit. But I'm in a position now, and I said this to myself, when I become more performance-based as opposed to physique-based in terms of the goals, then I'll come off. I do not want to become reliant on this stuff. And we made that decision 5 weeks ago when we booked in for High Rocks, and I was like, right, this is the point now whereby training has changed completely. Let's get rid of it. I'm not too concerned if my physique does take a hit. You are arguably going to lose some strength and a little bit of size. But if you go at it from the point of view whereby you may have gone from a blast into a cruise and use that cruise to psychologically prepare yourself and ready yourself to change but become more performance driven, be it running or a sport, then I think the ability for you to come off is much easier. So that will be my advice to you. Equally, if you're someone that's like, right, I'm mentally resilient enough to go, fuck it, I'll just jump off and see what happens, then power to you, my friend. But for me, it was very much a case of I need to be in a mental state whereby I'm not too concerned about the way I look. I still very much am concerned about the way I look, and I want to maintain this shape. I'm about 88 kilos at the moment, 88 kilos this morning. I'll put an image on the screen of what I look like at the moment, and I'm pretty happy. And I think you also need to understand the knock-on impact of your physique on this particular style of functional training is going to have in terms of the positivity of the way that you look. it's not as if you're going to stop steroids and you'll just shrink. That isn't the case. If you maintain good sleep, maintain good nutrition, maintain good training and output, you'll be surprised. So I really don't want you to think that you are now reliant on anabolics. It's not the case at all. It's absurd to think that. And I had a message from my mum that said that I'd showed my teenage son this video because he's scared. And I said, well, fucking hell, he's got nothing to worry about anyway because he's a teenager. I'm sure he'll respond anyway. But I wanted to use this channel and use this chance to highlight and raise awareness that I really don't want people to become too fixated on the way that they look and how in their mind steroids has kind of conditioned them to believe that they are on that for life now. It's not the case. You can easily step away from that and switch up your training style and continue feeling healthy and have a positive outlook on life and business. I think it becomes very easy, and I've certainly been there, whereby my thought process and my mindset is almost clouded by a little bit of bodybuilding and anabolic steroids. But I feel like I'm out the other end at the moment, and we've a challenge on our hands, and I love a challenge. I almost get off on the fact that I've got 0 tests and I've got a high rocks prep. I think like that. When my back's up against the wall and I'm faced with that, I'm like, right, I sort of almost get off on it. And the mental resilience that I've gained from bodybuilding has allowed me and will allow me to continue and push on. So that's where we're at the moment. Just a little bit of an insight into how I'm feeling. I will, I think, get some bloods done and not look at them, just purely for the sake of a video in a few months' time when we can look back. I might get Medichecks bloods done, put it to one side, and then in a couple of months' time we can retest and have a little look where we're at in terms of FSH and LH and testosterone. But at the moment, all is well, libido's good, mood is okay, productivity's higher, slightly under recovered, but I'm just being proactive at ensuring that my sleep is A1. I'm adding an additional sleep cycle, so I'm trying to go to bed for about 8:30, be asleep by 9 and wake up at 6. We'll come on to, at a later date, some supplementation, some testosterone boosting supplementation that I have ordered. We'll discuss that in probably next week's video. But all in all, I'm feeling okay mentally and physically. We have a new goal. We're in a completely new place in our life now, and I think that switch has helped. So I definitely recommend for people that are watching this and are in that kind of limbo phase or in that mindset of, oh my God, if I come off, I'm going to lose everything. It's not going to happen. But if you are feeling like that, then set yourself up and start to realign and readjust where you're at in terms of your physique or physical goals, because I think it will be a lot easier once you transition into that and go, I'm not really too concerned about the way I look because I want to beat my 5K PB or I want to enter a certain sport or anything like that. So that will be my advice to you. I'm going to leave it there. I just wanted to give you guys and girls a little bit of an update. I think we'll do these more frequently. But any questions that you've got at all, please drop me a message, be it privately or on YouTube. The DM's always open. Let's go. Also, greatly appreciate the sign-ups for MetFlow. Amazing intake thus far. We've got another 3 or 4 weeks before doors fully open. But yeah, pre-sign-ups are now live. MetFlow link will be in the description. 50-day challenge starting in January 2nd, 2023 that kind of encompasses everything to do with functional as well as building mental resilience and giving you daily tasks. So I'm looking forward to that one indeed. Right, my voice is going a little bit. Hope I'm not under the weather. Everyone's ill at the moment. Anyway, greatly appreciate your support as always. Thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there. Thank you again.